Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined as always by Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning, Matt.
We are back.
We are.
Woo!
Yay!
So excited. This is a great chance to come and reach out to our whole USA Cares community. If you are new to the USA Cares podcast, welcome. We are honored that you decided to join us today. This is a podcast all about celebrating our veterans, all about celebrating the veteran community, those who have chosen to serve our country, and we are here to serve them. So I'm glad you've joined us. We are going to talk about all things veterans. We're going to we have guests on who are former veterans. We have people on who are active duty, and we have people on who are just compassionate about the life of a veteran. So we're excited that you joined us. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make this part of your weekly routine. Alexis.
Matt.
There is a ton happening at USA Cares right now.
I know we're busy.
Oh my goodness. You know, one thing I wanted to mention before I forget, because you know I'm going to forget, and so I'm going to bring it up early.
Okay.
Is we have a career expo coming up.
We do. You know what day it is?
I do. I mean, I've got it written down right here. Do you know off the top of your head?
I sure do.
What?
March 17th.
Why is that a significant day?
Because it's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, okay.
And it is also the day that we are drawing for our fantastic PC, gaming
that's
PC, donated by the cool Toasty Bros.
Well, yeah, talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so they are custom building a awesome. I know nothing about gaming computers, so I'm going to just completely butcher it, but
Well,
it is
act
a
like
really
you do.
cool...
Act for a minute like you know what you're talking about.
I know. It's a really cool... It's a real badass computer.
There
okay?
you go.
And I can't describe it any other way. But
Yeah.
So for all of our gamers and people interested with this really high tech, it's a $3,000
That's crazy.
gaming console.
Yeah.
So we will be
I buy my kids like $200 computers.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's probably wouldn't be. Well, you know what? If you bought I guess you can't. They could, but you can't. It's a $30 raffle ticket.
Yeah.
So you can spend $30.
So for $30, you can get a $3,000 gaming computer.
Yep.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
those tickets
Robert's
go
going to
on
buy a
sale.
ticket.
Yeah, those tickets go on sale here in a couple weeks. So just stay tuned.
So what's great about that is I actually started talking about the Career Expo, and you hijacked the whole conversation and took it into the raffle.
Sure did.
That's great. I mean, it all helps the veterans, but don't forget, so coming up on March 17th, we also have a Career Expo here in Louisville. So if you're in the Kentucky area and you are maybe looking to hire a veteran, if you're a company, an organization looking to hire veterans, this is a great chance for you to come along and get involved and meet some really remarkable people. It's Thursday, March 17th. If you want more information on that, reach out to Paula at usacares.org. That's Paula at usacares.org. Let her know that you want to get involved and check it out. But it'll be from 10 to 2 on March 17th. A couple other things going on. We've got chapter events being scheduled. It seems like every day right now, and there's stuff popping up. Our good friends at Topgolf around the country are helping us get some events going in cities all across the country.
That's
so
awesome.
Big shout out to Topgolf, and thank you for all the help. Some really, really cool things happening, and just I'm blown away by the people who keep coming out of the woodwork to help. Thank you to all of our wonderful volunteers, to our donors, to everybody who is just stepping up right now. We are helping more people right now than I think we have in many, many years, and it's because of the generosity of all these people that are coming out.
Absolutely.
So a couple things I want to also make sure to mention. Today is National Popcorn Day.
It is. I didn't know that.
It is. It is also National Museum Selfie Day.
Huh.
So
we're going to need to go take a trip down to Museum Row.
Eating popcorn.
Yeah, eating popcorn. Yeah, there's a gourmet popcorn place down there somewhere.
There is. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. So grab your gourmet popcorn, head down Museum Row if you're in Louisville or wherever you are.
And then if it only we knew whose birthday it was today.
You know, I do know whose birthday it is today. I have two family members who have the same birthday.
No, you don't.
I do. My mom, Charlene.
Our number one
Hey,
fan.
Char.
Good
Yes.
morning. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
You should sing.
No, I'm going to spare you from that. It is also Corey's Uncle Bruce's birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Uncle Bruce.
Uncle Bruce and Char.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday.
What'd you get your mom?
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
Now. She might be listening.
Well, happy
we sent her
birthday.
something really nice.
That's good. That's good. Well, we've had a string of really awesome guests on, and I think we've worked really hard. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know we've tried to kind of mix it up a little bit and try to get some different perspectives on veteran life, some of the struggles, some of the difficulty, but also some of the positive outcomes as a result of people's steadfastness in working through the transition from the military to civilian careers, and all sorts of other topics. So today is no exception. Today is really a very special person who's dedicated her time to really helping people in transition, to helping people just kind of get their head right about what they're doing and where they're going, right?
Absolutely.
So we would like to welcome, for the first time to USA Cares podcast, Shelby Hebing. Good morning, Shelby.
Good morning.
We are excited to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
And you're joining us from Virginia, right?
Yes, Alexandria, Virginia.
Alexandria,
Okay.
Virginia. I don't think we've had a guest from Virginia yet.
No, my best friend lives in Alexandria.
Well,
I guess it's more Blue
you've said hello to
It's
everybody
Blue
else. Do you want to say hi to them too?
Brianne. I know.
So is it true, Shelby, that you are the pride of the Georgia Southern University Eagles?
I mean, I am a double Eagle, so
All right.
I mean, I'm pretty proud of the university.
Well,
You know what a double eagle is?
no, I have no idea.
You have multiple. You got your undergrad and a grad degree from.
Wow. And you also, Alexis, are a graduate of Georgia
I
Southern
am.
University.
I am not a double eagle, but I am a very proud graduate.
You're just a single eagle.
I am just a
Oh.
single eagle, but eagle nonetheless.
So is it true that the mascot for Georgia Southern is named Gus?
Yes.
I don't know why you're so.
It bothers me because obviously they tried to play off the GSU thing, but they did GUS instead. And I just think, I don't know.
Well,
Like Purdue, I'm proudly a Purdue alum, Purdue Boilermakers.
mhm.
Shout out to all my Boilermaker brethren. But, it's Purdue Pete. That makes sense.
Purdue Pete.
It rolls right off the tongue.
Who's Pete? Like, what does he do?
He works on the train, the Boilermaker. It's an engineering school.
Okay,
and
so
so they
you
build.
You can't make fun of Gus when you have
Oh, I can.
Purdue
Yeah, I can.
Pete.
So, well, Shelby, welcome. Sorry for our arguments, but welcome to the program. We are excited. I'm excited to learn more about you. I know there's a lot of wonderful ties to the military in your life. Talk for a minute about your family. Talk for a minute about what you're doing these days.
Absolutely. So I've been affiliated with the military officially for about 5 years. My husband and I have been married since 2016, actually right after I finished my degree.
Okay.
But we've been together about 10 or 11 years, and he's been in the military that entire. So with his service in military, he's obviously all over the place. When we got married, he was in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So we were doing the long distance relation.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we got married, we were reunited.
Yeah.
And we've lived in 4 states since then.
So 4 states in 5 years.
Yes.
So you're getting very good at moving.
I wouldn't say that. Definitely getting accustomed to moving.
Yeah.
But just due to the nature of my husband's job, we move a lot.
So he's in the Army, and you took on a career that is sensitive to the Army. So talk about what it is that you're doing these days.
Sure. So my master's degree is actually in clinical mental health counseling.
Okay.
But if you're not familiar, the licensure for counseling is state by state. So when you're moving as much as we do, it can be very challenging to accumulate the hours needed to obtain licensure. So while we were living in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which is a metropolis of the central United States, if you don't know, I had the opportunity to get into the education center on the military installation. And that specific office on the military installation works with service members to help them use their active duty education benefits as well as their veteran education benefits. So that's kind of how I got started working as an instructor, helping soldiers with their remedial skills academically, to help them raise test scores so they could go the officer track, or they could go and pursue a master's degree or other opportunities within the military. And that was as a contractor, so I was working for the federal government, but as a contractor. When we moved to South Carolina, I had the opportunity to continue into a contractor position, but moved into a position as a federal employee working for the Department of the Army.
So what led you to this? Like, what led you to this path of kind of counseling, advising? What is it? Do you just like telling people what to do?
No, I like helping them discover what it is they want to do.
Nice.
Many of them come in and not sure what they want to do. Many of them are looking to get a degree as fast as possible due to the career advancement that comes with the degree.
Okay.
So I challenge them to take a step back and think about what do they want to do after the military, because that degree can correlate with a career post-military.
So you're going to broach the scary topic of what do I do after this life?
Yes, which many of them aren't thinking about.
No, I'm sure not. It's because it's all about right now in the world that they know. What is the common theme when you're talking to active duty? What is the common theme with their life, what their life is going to be like after the military?
Many of them have no idea.
And they tell you that?
Looks of deers and headlights.
Yeah.
When I ask that question, especially those who are, freshly in the military, maybe their first duty station, so they're just getting acclimated. So it varies. There are some that are thinking about it, but I think it just depends on where they're at in that soldier life cycle that determines really where they're at in that thought process.
What do you tell somebody who they're sitting in front of you, they're having a conversation with you, and they're like, I just, I'm going to be done in a year or two, and I just have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. What do you tell them?
So for people like that, they should already actually be in transition. So they should already be working with their transition program office, completing their transition requirements. So usually for soldiers that are in that position, I would talk to them about participating in an internship or training skills program that happens during their last. Yeah, that's my cat.
Love that the cat just walked by. Ours does that at home all the time. They like computers.
Yeah, something about it. But yeah, so I mainly talk to soldiers about the opportunity to pursue something within the last 6 months of their active duty service. The Army has a program called the Career Skills Program, where they can actually do an internship versus sitting in uniform for that last 6 months of active duty service. It helps them translate those skills in real life, gets them acclimated to the civilian work environment, and just helps with that transition too, because it allows them to focus more on themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of, where some of that is missing is being able to translate the skills that you acquire and learn while in the service into, that civilian life. They could have this really long, intricate resume, and then you have some regular person like me look at it and be like, what does this mean? And being able to really, like you said, just translate that resume into something that your civilian layperson can understand, and then also say, oh yeah, you would fit right here, and like right in this spot.
Right. And it can definitely even be more challenging when soldiers don't take the opportunity to pursue their education while they're in service, because the tuition assistance will cover a full bachelor's degree, a full master's degree, an academic certificate.
Wow.
And they also just released a new program in late 2019 where soldiers can participate in training programs for certifications, credentials, and licenses that can be related to their job, can be related to their academic background if they have degrees, or can just be related to any area of interest.
But do you find that a lot of soldiers want to put that off until after they're done with the military? They don't necessarily want to do that while they're in the military? Or do you find that a lot of them will go ahead and complete those degrees?
I've seen a good mix. I've seen some that do put a high priority on it. Typically those who do not have families tend to focus on it more heavily than others. I see the panic in those who wait until the very end,
Yeah.
who have families and are thinking about, how am I going to support my family with this transition without my education? So many of them do at least start their degree and then use their veterans benefits to finish the degree post military.
And that's another thing, we talk about a lot on this podcast too, is just utilizing those benefits. We have so many people who just don't take full advantage of what's available to them, either because they don't know, or in some cases, we've even have people who said they don't deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah. And I think too, there is some leadership that's very supportive of pursuing the education, because, they're a few steps ahead and realize how important it is. But some soldiers, because they're young and just in the throes of military life, they don't prioritize it.
Yep.
So I've seen both ways, really.
So I've got I'm going to kind of veer the conversation a little bit.
You do that. Yeah,
I know.
You do that sometimes.
Well, we talk about this a lot, how military families and military spouses sometimes get left and aren't really as focused on as we are on the service member or the veteran, once they do transition out. So, talk to me a little bit about how, as a military spouse yourself, you were able to find a job on post and then, turn that into something else. And then, what other opportunities there are for military spouses while you're, moving around all over the place.
I mean, it's absolutely challenging to find employment, especially as a military spouse. I think things have shifted due to COVID because of the more telework and remote work opportunities. But that's a whole nother conversation. For me, it was really just about making myself aware of the resources that were available on the base. They do have a little in-processing orientation that you can attend. Many spouses don't. I made a point to attend ours because I knew how important it was. And my husband might have gotten a day off in the process too. So there's some incentive there too.
Yeah.
But attending that, learning about the resources that are available. And since doing that, every base that we move to, I make a point to find where the resources are and what they offer in that specific area, because every duty station is different. Obviously, Central Louisiana had very limited resources, but they had a lot of family resources. So employment wasn't as strong, but the family inclusiveness and support was there. And then Fort Jackson, because I already had that previous experience working in the education center environment, I think that really helped, even though it was for a short time, because I was pregnant at the time. So I had my daughter, decided to focus on her for a little while before going back into work. But my job at Fort Jackson as a contractor, I was already working in that same environment and the position became available. So by showing my work ethic and being with the same people that I was working with for that job, going through the craziness of USA jobs, and having that face-to-face with those people made it very easy for me to get employment there.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you love most about what you do?
I love that I'm able to plant a seed.
Okay.
Again, having that conversation with soldiers of, well, what do you want to do when you get out of the military? And even though it does kind of lead to these crazy conversations I don't know, I think it makes them think about something that's not being brought to the table at all. I had a conversation with a coworker. She's a veteran herself and now works as a federal employee for the government. She said that, I wish the Army was as good as helping people get out of the military as they are getting people in.
Yeah. Yep.
Because obviously Fort Jackson is a basic training installation, So they do really good at getting soldiers in, and we see it all day long. But the soldiers that are in transition there, you can see how they're struggling with that transition out of the military.
And that's what,
Even
in
though,
our, yeah. And I'm sorry to step on you. In
no.
our world, that's what we deal with. And that's the struggle is people come out and they've had this brotherhood or sisterhood, this camaraderie going on in the military for years and years. This is the life that they've known. And then all of a sudden it's all gone. And you're right. And I don't say this to knock the military at all, but there isn't great preparation for that. There's, we can help people get ready for a new career, and we can help them do some kind of preparation. But the reality is there's an emotional preparation that is needed. And there's a shock when people come out to the point where we're losing some of these veterans to suicide at an alarming rate, and that's what USA Cares is working very hard to prevent. But I think what you're doing is valuable because it's really you're having those conversations. It sounds like long before they're actually getting out of the military.
Sometimes it's 2.5 years out and they haven't even given it much thought.
Right.
And granted, part of that is because the military hasn't made them think about it.
Well, I hope you can make them think about it. That's good.
Well, I definitely make them aware of the resources that will be available to them, that they will be eligible for when they get into that specific timeline. Because usually by the time that you're in the timeline, there's not enough time to plan out all the steps needed to actually successfully complete those programs.
Yeah.
So it can be a catch-22 in that regard. But fortunately, there's many organizations, much like yourself, who do help soldiers who are in transition, but also still offer that service to veterans. So even if they don't get that opportunity to pursue it while they're transitioning, they still get that opportunity post-military.
Without mentioning any names, can you think of a soldier that you have helped that stands out to you?
I can think of a few.
What was their story? What was it that you're most thankful that you were able to help them with?
Well, there's actually one I can think of, and oddly enough, I don't recall his name.
That's okay.
But he and I had a conversation. He was higher enlisted, and we had a conversation about the resources that were available to him. I sent him, obviously, a follow-up email with a plethora of resources that we didn't even have an opportunity to go over. And he actually responded back to me after a very short, curt conversation, sent me an email and said, "Thank you for taking the time to talk to me and sending me all these resources. I was dreading getting out of the military, and now I have hope."
That's it.
That like really just resonates. Like, I'm dreading to leave because I didn't know where I was going, and now you gave me hope. And that's what we like to try and do, is give some glimmer of hope.
And that's what a lot of our veterans need to hear. A lot of them are listening. A lot of them maybe experienced this time, that special time in their life where they're coming out of the military and going into a civilian life. And there is a hopelessness that exists when somebody doesn't know where they're going, when they don't see the path ahead. And we want to give them that hope. We want to give them that reassurance that there are avenues to go, even if you don't see it in this moment.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that there's almost so many resources that can be overwhelming too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I know that I have had soldiers come to me and say, "Well, which one do I go with?" I'm like, do your research. Much like a job. If you feel like it fits with your values and will provide the services you need, then it may be a good fit. But if it's not a good fit, there's 10 others that offer similar or the same services that you can look into as well.
And if those organizations are worth a salt, and if they don't specialize in what you need help with, they're going to refer you to somebody who does.
Right.
So, good.
Yeah.
And many
Go
of the
ahead. You were going to ask
too.
something, Alexis. What's that?
I was just going to add too, many of the services that are available to transitioning service members now and veterans, they're also an option for military spouses as well.
Okay.
So obviously with military spouses, we're transitioning all the time. It's not just something that happens once for us. So having that opportunity to pursue those education opportunities, pursue career employment readiness, and have that opportunity as well, that has been beneficial and seems to be more common now that organizations are realizing there's more of a need for spouses as well, not just service members.
Yeah. And I think that's important. So how did you get involved and do they nominate you to participate in that 4-block military spouse career readiness program, or is that something you apply to? And talk to us a little bit about that.
That specific program is actually an application process. They don't accept everyone, but part of that is because they like to keep the cohort small, so that you get the one-on-one time and attention, get your questions answered. The way that it works is it's a cohort format. It's one big cohort, but they separate it into two smaller cohorts or groups. And we meet weekly as an entire group, and then meet weekly within our smaller cohorts and go over different topics such as what skills do you have? How do they transfer into employment, especially for those who are in a position of doing returnships versus career pivoting. They also go over topics such as resume assistance, interview skills, different areas, anything related to getting back into the workforce, or again, pivoting from one career to the next because of the military lifestyle.
So the returnship, is that what, you're returning or getting ready to go back into the similar field that you were going into, or am I completely off?
So I think it can be that, but I think it's also for people that have been out of the workforce, maybe focusing on their family for an extended period of time and are returning back to the workforce. So specifically in the cohort that I was in, we had spouses that were they weren't working. They were working as stay-at-home parents for 10 to 15 years, and now that their spouse was retiring, they were going to go back into working full time.
And that's got to be a big adjustment, I think, after not being in the workforce or in just a completely different work environment, because, being a stay-at-home parent is, a 24/7 job.
Yep.
And I think a lot of us are finding out after this pandemic and being stuck at home and, not having access to some childcare and all that, but just getting acclimated back to getting up and getting dressed and being with other adults. It's, I'm still doing that.
Yeah, I get it
myself.
So Shelby, with the military noticing more, or maybe having more of an emphasis on mental health and noticing more the rate of veteran suicide, where do you see the Army, the military as a whole, going with veteran retirement, with soldier retirement? So with transitioning into the civilian workforce, how do you think they will adjust in the coming years to better suit this need?
That's a great question. I think that, again, kind of going back to what my coworker had said, if there was more preparation for that transition, I don't think it would be as difficult. The health of our military wouldn't be as worse off as it is.
Yeah.
If it was prioritized during service.
Right.
Just from my experience working for the military as a civilian, totally different as a soldier, of course.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a missing component that comes to the human factor of being an employee for the government.
Yeah.
And when you take out the human factor, there's going to be issues with performance and the ability to maintain the work that is required of you if you're not allowed to be human.
Right. So the military is going to bring you in. They're going to break you down. They're going to make you into what they want you to be. In many cases, that's a weapon, or that is a tool of some kind to make the Army or the military run better. but there isn't that deprogramming. There isn't that, okay,
Mhm.
how do I return them back to a human being again? And it's interesting how you explain that, because I think it helps people who aren't associated with the military understand a little better. You've been programmed for this one thing, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into a world that doesn't know that. So it can be a shock to the system for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something maybe long term that I would love to see as part of that transition program.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been through the transition program. I don't know that they would let me sit through it.
Yeah.
But although spouses are allowed to go, from what I understand, it's not just for service members.
Good.
Spouses can attend as well. But because my husband's not in transition, I haven't been.
Yeah.
But I would like to see that as a component of the transition program. I believe right now it's very career and employment focused. And that's a very important part, especially with the transition. But I think it is a small piece of that puzzle.
I love that you say that the spouses can go too, because that's a big part of it. I'm sure there's a lot of frustration with a military spouse watching their spouse go through this difficult time, struggling with it, and not knowing what to do about it.
Right. And not being able to help.
Yeah.
Or not know how to help.
Right. It's makes a stressful situation in the home.
Yes. I think too, a lot of these organizations that are offering transition career readiness programs for themselves, they've done a good job of creating that support. So you go through the program from start to finish with the same people, still have the ability to contact these people going forward, whether that's through LinkedIn or through their own portal, much like 4Block. Because I don't think they get that from the military transition program.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a 5-day program. They're checking off boxes, attending a bunch of seminars, and they move on to the next thing.
Right. So looking at you get to see a lot of nonprofits, I'm sure, that support veteran families. What are the good things that they do, and what are the not so good things? Grade us for a moment. What are some things that nonprofits, what are some things that we're really good at, and some things that we really need to stop doing, maybe, or start?
Well, I definitely think there's a lot more wraparound support with the nonprofits compared to what they get through the military service. So giving more than just support in one specific area does seem to be more common with the nonprofits compared to the military. And it's not that the military doesn't offer those services. They're just so dispersed that if you don't already know about them, then you're probably not going to access those benefits or support that you may need.
Right.
And a specific example of that, not to go on a tangent, but I had a soldier who told me a story about a veteran that he saw in the community. And he, had a sign saying that he needed help, needed money for something with broken car or something. And so the soldier went up to him, asked him if he had his DD 214, which is the form saying, you've served in the military. And he asked him if he had that form. The soldier confirmed that he did and said, well, why don't you go to the Army Relief Fund on the base and get a loan to help you fix your car versus sitting here in the street asking for money. But he didn't know he had that option because he didn't know that the service was there. So something as simple as that, is frustrating that they don't know that it's there.
And that's the hard part for us too, is just trying to get the information out to people who just assume that they have nowhere to turn, nothing that they can tap into. And all those resources are sitting there, in many cases, unused.
Right.
So.
And it's not that people don't have the means to support or don't want to. It's just that getting that word to the people who need it is the difficult part.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have a question?
No.
You look like you're thinking again.
I was thinking.
Okay.
I'm always thinking.
So what do you think, where do you hope to go? What's next for you all? What's going to happen? How many more years do you think you have in? Where does life go from here?
So we just moved here in November.
Okay.
So
you'll be moving again in about 6
great.
months, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping for 2 more years here.
Yeah.
But my husband's at 12 years.
Okay.
12 and a half. So we're hoping to make the full 20.
Uh-huh.
Unless, the universe has other plans for us.
Right.
So we probably have about 3 more moves left, if
Okay.
not 4.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah. That's really
don't get too comfortable.
We don't
Don't
know
get
where
too
we're going
comfortable.
next.
Just don't even bother unpacking those boxes. Just leave them sitting in the closet. You'll be fine. Well,
generally there's probably about 10% that don't get unpacked. So, yeah.
Well, what do you before we wrap up? Is there anything that you want to make sure you mention today that you want people to know?
What I want people to know is that the services are there, and there's people that can help you. And as we talked about earlier, that person might not be able to help you exactly with what you need, but they can point you to someone who can.
And how do they find that person? So to the person that was sitting on the street corner asking for money, who didn't realize that they could get help, where would you direct them? Where's the first place you would tell them to go?
So I think the VA is a great option. And then obviously if you have a military installation nearby, that's great too. I know not every service member or veteran has that option.
Yeah.
And I think that can be part of the challenge too, is when you transition and go back to your place of residence. You might not have the supports that you had because you were near a military installation or near a veteran facility. But I think just tapping into those military communities, whether that's getting into veteran support systems that will connect you to the VA or someone who knows the VA. LinkedIn does have a pretty big transitioning military support community. So there's definitely resources out there.
That's awesome. Well, Shelby, thank you for all you're doing. I think it sounds like you're making a big difference in a lot of people's lives, and we're thankful that you're there and steering people in the right direction.
Oh, well, I'm happy to give back because I hope that, one day someone will do the same for me.
Absolutely.
But it's also been done for me in the past. So
that's great. That's great. Well, thank you to you. Thank you to your husband for his service. And
your service as well.
And your service as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being on and putting up with us today.
Oh, I'd be happy to come back.
Absolutely.
And hail Southern.
Oh, don't start.
Go Eagles.
Yep.
All right. So, well, thank you, Shelby. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, sounds great, guys.
All right. So, Alexis, coming up, we've got, like I said, we've got the career fair on March 17th. We've got the raffle coming up also on March 17th. We've got some great, so many chapter events coming up. We're getting ready to announce a few new chapters, which I can't say where they are yet.
Oh, very nice tease there.
Yeah, hopefully by the next episode, we'll be able to share a couple of those locations because they're going to be big.
And those chapters, I think Shelby said something really important is tapping into your veteran community, and those chapters will be a big part of that.
I'm thinking back to, I'm trying to think of who the guest was. There was a guest that was on, what was it, Spuds? Maybe?
Probably. I don't know.
Or was it somebody else? But maybe Nick Black. But he was talking about the best thing you can do to help a veteran is call 5 of them today and let them know you're thinking about them.
I think they both said that.
I think they did.
I think they did.
You can give money, you can do all these wonderful things. And as a development person, I'm supposed to encourage people to give money. But the reality is the best thing you can do, even if you're not a veteran, is reach out to 5 people that are important to you. Let them know you're thinking about them and let them know that they're important to you. I mean, it sounds like such a simple thing, but when we're talking about mental health, especially for veterans coming out whose worlds are about to go upside down, it's not a small thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a plan, like going out there without a plan is just frightening thing.
And your self-worth starts dropping and all of a sudden you're in a dark place. So reach out to 5 people today. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know they're special to you. And let's keep this going, and let's slow down the trend that we're seeing right now with people taking their own lives, because if we were in any kind of combat situation, we were losing the number of people we're losing per day right now, nobody would stand for it. But this is kind of the silent killer going around. So take a stand today, reach out to some people, help them out. If you want to be involved, in this community, go to usacares.org, find out more information about a chapter near you, and sign up, reach out, get involved today. Jenny Davis is in charge of our chapters program. You can email her at jenny@usacares.org. Ask her some questions. Say, how can I get involved? If you are a regular listener to this podcast and you've got some ideas for us, you've got some feedback, we'd love to hear it. Email me directly at Matt, M-A-T-T, @usacares.org. I would love your feedback. If you have ideas on guests, if you have topics that you would wish that we would discuss, let's talk about that. Let's see if we can get that going. We want to make sure that this is truly a valuable tool for our veteran community. So, did I leave anything out? What about our friends at Speakeasy?
We have to talk about our friends at Speakeasy. They always do such a great job for us.
Robert's doing great work for us, and Joel, and Andrew,
team.
and
everybody.
So what do they do for us, Alexis?
They make this possible. Every single week. They are here every Wednesday with us, making sure that we sound good, we look good, and are improving every week. So we cannot thank them enough for their guidance.
What's the email address?
Website. It is speakeasynetwork.com.
Speakeasynetwork.com.
Yep.
So if your company or your organization is thinking about doing a podcast, you really need to take a look at this organization. They will make it professional. They will make it streamlined. They will make it easy for you to get behind the microphone and talk about the important things that you need to talk about. So, or maybe sometimes not even the most important things. Maybe it's just sitting around talking with friends and
Purdue Pete.
Well, that's important.
Pete.
That's important. At least it's not a bird named Gus.
Hey.
So,
I think eagle. It's powerful.
So check out speakeasynetwork.com and take a look. Thanks again to our friends at GE Appliances, Black Rifle Coffee, so many other great companies that have come alongside to make USA Cares who they are today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the podcast. Make this part of your weekly routine. We'd love to have you join us each and every week.
And do us a favor. Share it with your friends.
What a great idea,
Share it with
Alexis.
your friends. Don't just keep all this wonderful goodness to yourself. Share it with your friends and, bring them into this fun little world we've created.
Absolutely. And one last thing. Congratulations to the University of Georgia on winning the national championship over the University of Alabama.
My husband is a Alabama grad,
and my wife is a Georgia grad.
And I'm from Georgia.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Georgia did just beat Alabama in the national championship.
After 41 years, it finally happened.
41-year drought. So, yeah. Wow.
Well, we're looking forward to another 41 years.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.